we're about to have more deaths in a year in the globe because of climate change than all of the world wars in the last 100 years combined.
Yet another reminder that these extreme storms and the climate crisis are here.
The Taliban took them out of their homes and shot them. Given this kind of reporting that we're hearing, is it possible that our reliance on the Taliban to keep their word in terms of our evacuation is misplaced?
I don't have any confirmation of those details. I'm not questioning the BBC's reporting. I just don't have any confirmation of them from the U.S. government.
Why does the president support abortion when his own Catholic faith teaches abortion is morally wrong?
Well, he believes that it's a woman's right, it's a woman's body, and it's her choice.
Why does the president, who does he believe then should look out for the unborn child?
He believes that it's up to a woman to make those decisions, and up to a woman to make those decisions with her doctor. I know you've never faced those choices, nor have you ever been pregnant, but for women out there who have faced those choices, this is an incredibly difficult thing. The president believes their rights should be respected. Go ahead. I think we got to move on. I think we have to move on. You've had plenty of time today.
Not a great answer. That's the answer for when you're out of answer. Not a bad song.
I love this song. I was trying to tell you earlier, this is in one of my favorite movies.
That is the O Mio Babino. Caro, possibly. And that was Jen Psaki before that. Just running out of stuff to say. Saying using the, I don't even know what to say. Like the Jerry Springer, don't tell me how to raise my baby. Personalization in your face.
Well, yeah, when the press secretary's doing that with the press, that's not a great sign for how well thought out their answers are on the question.
No, it's supposed to round up and rally up passion for people. It's supposed to get people to get caught up in the emotion, in the spirit of the answer. Like, you don't tell me, you're a man, you've never had to deal with that ever in your life. And it's made to drag the smallest, tiniest jelly bean sized brains out and have them react to it and act on it, and ideally fill up the news cycle and certainly social media streams with it, which of course it worked perfectly with Yumiche Alcindor, who at the moment she heard it, tweeted out, male reporter, what's two dots? What's two dots?
A colon.
Yes. She tweeted out, after she heard that, male reporter, why does President Biden support abortion when his Catholic faith does not? Space, at press sec. President Biden believes that it's a woman's right. It's a woman's body, and it's her choice. I know you've never faced those choices, nor have you ever been pregnant. Yumiche Alcindor, who's paid publicly by you, me, and you guys listening, that's how she answers. So yes, the dumbest idiot in the world can get caught up in this, and so she does. And so she says, male reporter asked a question.
Yeah, a male Catholic reporter, by the way, for a Catholic news organization.
Well, right, but the fact that at all that she would actually take the bait, say male reporter. The question doesn't have agenda. The question is the question. It doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. The idea that another press person, quote, not working for the administration, would shoot down another press person's question based on the source of the question, mm-hmm. Is effing believable. She is an effing moron and only going to... It's reasons like that why Jen Psaki feels comforted enough to lie about the fact that we've abandoned a whole bunch of Americans to die badly in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. I never want to hear this administration ever talk about the value of human life at all, ever. This administration has shown itself to be cynically transactional and willing to walk over puddles of blood for the smallest political gain. No time for this. No time for this freaking idiot Psaki, which is why, of course, I'm going to play more of her. But you can listen to that question and answer again, Alice. And because you're a birthing person, you can make the decision.
Well, yeah, and there's actually not a ton of difference in men and women's views of abortion, actually, surprisingly. It's really...
Whoa, men can't say anything. No. Off the table. Men can't say anything. I remember last year when you were tweeting out there and you were all over Facebook and Twitter shouting your abortions.
Oh my gosh.
Remember saying,
Not me personally.
Yes, you were, and it was girl power, and you thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And yes, well, this is what we've created here. Let's do that again. This is the reporter asking the really basic fundamental question. Mm-hmm. How does a person who portends to have a deep, specific Christian belief,
right,
from a Catholic Christian belief, how does he reconcile that with saying green light A-OK to destroying babies when the church that he belongs to, that he deeply believes in, says it's terrible and it is no good and that it's killing a child? It seems to me like a good fundamental question to ask about somebody's belief system.
Right. Male, female, or anything else. It seems like an obvious inquiry.
Why does the president support abortion when his own Catholic faith teaches abortion is morally wrong?
Well, he believes that it's a woman's right, it's a woman's body, and it's her choice.
Why does the president, who does he believe then should look out for the unborn child?
He believes that it's up to a woman to make those decisions, and up to a woman to make those decisions with her doctor. I know you've never faced those choices, nor have you ever been pregnant, but for women out there who have faced those choices, this is an incredibly difficult thing. The president believes their rights should be respected. Go ahead. I think we got to move on. I think we have to move on. You've had plenty of time today. Go ahead.
How many green card holders?
Plenty of time. So there's a couple things. First of all, how does he reconcile it with the Catholic Church? That's blown away immediately. The facade of him being a Catholic, he's obviously not a Catholic. He doesn't give a flying F. He doesn't care. God, you know what? Bo had an abortion. That's why. That's how he knows, as a matter of fact. If you didn't know, it's very personal. Him, Bo, went through the same thing. He obviously doesn't give a flying frig about life. His dirtbag son had a child out of wedlock who Biden has shown no interest in talking about or acknowledging whatsoever. Doesn't care about it. But also, for him, then the reporter to let Psaki get away and walk away from the question, which she did. It's fine. To talk about the people lives in a woman's right. He's just saying
you've never had to make that choice.
This is just election speak, of course. That's fine. But this is right. It's for him to say then who does he believe? For the reporter to say who does he believe is protecting the unborn life? She doesn't even. They are so under the gun of radical left, the rabid pro-abortion lobby, which are the same people with the same Range Rovers and the same houses in Wellesley, Mass, with the same yard signs, rabidly pro, who take this personal and fly off the handle if you dare mention it because it is such a judgment on their character. Mm-hmm. For her to step right over that, not even look that question in the eyes, tells you how much in fear she is of even beginning to justify the question, dignify the question at all with an answer, which she won't give it because of those people. When you've had the old Planned Parenthood person, Richards, whatever, Cecile Richards, wearing all white to show power, jumping around, cheerleading for abortion at the DNC, then you're a pretty sick party. But that's who she's afraid of. Whoever the new one is. One of them had to get whacked because she said something that trans weren't as women or something. But it just shows you what they feel about. I mean, how cynical they are that you won't even go near mentioning that. And there's a way to have a conversation. There's a way to make that a win. But the administration won't even. Who just texted us?
Did someone just text us?
Somebody just texted me.
I don't even have my phone.
I have the thing on that shows me not who texted me, but somebody texted saying they ordered a pizza. And damn it, Josh ordered a pizza. Ordered a pizza with onion and mushroom from a Brazilian place. And he's got egg and olive instead. The reason I bring it up is because I saw a pizza was ordered just by the number. I was hoping that it was downstairs from my brother. Okay, So here's the thing. The fact that they don't even, that she won't even enter into the discussion on that, it could be an interesting issue-based conversation, certainly. But they're not going to do it whatsoever. And then she goes to the,
Well, they
have
don't
you
wanna-
ever been a woman? Well, that shows you right there. Okay, I see. This is not based on the facts, on the specifics of the issue, of the parameters of the issue. I see. This is not based on logic, what you're saying. This is based on the emotions of somebody experiencing the situation right there.
Right. It's purely an identity politics.
Well, but
thing.
but more importantly than that, she's taking it out of the realm of this debate and discussion and discourse. No, we're playing a game of chess here, and suddenly, because he doesn't know what it's like to be a woman, he doesn't know how being checkmated feels to a woman, then he has no right to play. We're not playing the game anymore. You don't know what talking about this does to me. Well, if talking about it disqualifies you, if talking about it prevents you from having a thoughtful debate and thoughtfully putting your thoughts together, then you're disqualifying yourself from it. Then you're saying, no, I'm not going to. You know, it just reminds me of, I think I've told you this before, when I used to screw with people when I used to smoke in my 20s. I used to have know-it-alls come around and say, you really shouldn't smoke. It's really bad for you. And I would say, no, it's not. Nobody's ever died of smoking. And without fail, somebody would say in their, my great uncle died of lung cancer. Yes, they have. And you know what? You really could destroy the nobody's ever died of smoking argument right now. It would be easy to do. And this is when everybody had Windows 98. It might take a minute, but instead it was no, you don't understand. I feel pain so much about this conversation that you're not allowed to talk about it. Okay, if you're too overcome with grief and emotion when we talk about something, then you're disqualified. I'm not disqualified. If Psaki can't deign to answer a question because that guy doesn't have ovaries, well, then she's not qualified to be talking about it anymore. Get somebody up there who can.
Right.
What guy would ever do that with an issue a guy's issue? Actually, he could probably do it with abortion issue. You ever stuck with a chick you just wanted to have a one-night stand with, and then you had to be there for the whole time? Come on. Right, guys? Right? It's like,
I'm not sure that would fly the same way for men.
Well, I understand, but it's the same way. It's relinquishing your responsibility to conduct discourse.
Yeah, it ends the conversation.
Right, exactly. Which is why it's so damn weak. And for Yumiche to write about male reporter, I don't understand. We're gonna play Matthew Dowd in a second, who's the guy who said that January 6th is much worse than the Holocaust and 9/11, all this other stuff, of course. And he's fine. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get some Lincoln Project kind of money. All these former conservatives who are guideless and soulless, who are has-beens, they're trying to get a piece of this pie where you can go on an NBC and just throw a bomb. But when I hear that, when I hear him say that the climate is we're going to be all dead in a couple of years, I'm like, you know what? Probably not a bad thing. We're so effing stupid. Really. We're so freaking stupid at this point. The Taliban are not the most stupid bunch of people out there. They're not. They may not even be the most monstrous people out there. They're
up there.
They have stayed terrible and bottom feeders. The rest of us have come down and joined them. To the point now where they're not knowing what to do. They're handed all the pieces as if we handed them a game of Sim City and said, hey, there you go. All that stuff's real, though. Go ahead, do what you want to do. And they're like, uh-oh. Okay, you're not going to just kill us all before we take over the country, Kabul? And we're like, no. They're like, oh, all right. I guess we'll keep living. What do we do now? Anybody? It's just freaking crazy. It's just crazy. We have ceded all sorts of logic of any kind. But that's fine. But it doesn't matter. So the Taliban, where, by the way, this still should be issue number one. The fact that we've got Americans who are prisoner behind enemy lines right now in a country full of people where the three factions who have power are all murderous. And all Islamists of one kind or another. But now we have somebody asking Jen Psaki a very valid question, should be the valid question. The valid question. And her answer, half-assed.
And then I wanted to get to the Taliban and questions of whether it's keeping its promise for amnesty. There was some reporting from the BBC, some color from that story. Since the Taliban came to power, one man said they haven't stopped killing. A few days ago, this person said they killed 12 members of special forces in Kandahar, 3 soldiers in Jalalabad as well. The Taliban took them out of their homes and shot them. Given this kind of reporting that we're hearing, is it possible that our reliance on the Taliban to keep their word in terms of our evacuation is misplaced if we're going back on things like
Well, has the Taliban ever been a woman? I bet they haven't. Now, here's her answer.
the amnesty promise?
Well, first, I don't have any confirmation of those details. I'm not questioning.
We don't have any confirmation. We've seen a lot of pictures of heads, but we're not sure yet. We don't really have confirmation. We're going to default on probably didn't happen, knowing the Taliban doesn't seem like something they would do.
The BBC's reporting. I just don't have any confirmation of them from the U.S. government. I would certainly point you to the Department of Defense and others who might have additional details. But what I would note here, Jackie, is no one is saying from the federal government.
Well, wait a second.
But that's been the game this whole time with all these press conferences about Afghanistan. I think I would refer you to the Department of Defense on that one. I think that sounds more like a State Department kind of question. You know what? I'm going to refer you over to the
well, I
generals
understand
on that one.
but it's half-assed and it's horse bleep, obviously. Mm-hmm. Because when it comes to the most historic airlift in the world, you don't have to go to State Department for that. She's got that folder right there. Absolutely. The patting ourselves in the back, that folder she has. The 14 dead and how it happened, I'm going to ask you to go to state for that, really. Because we're the last newsmakers of the day, and we don't intend to have our copy overwritten by bad news. It's incredible. We've heard, the reporter says, we've heard that they're massacring everybody. Thoughts? Are you worried? We can't confirm that they are. Well, are you effing worried at all? No, they're not going to condemn them, not going to put them on notice, nothing.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the Taliban told Al Jazeera, this is from the Daily Mail reported this, the Taliban told Al Jazeera that they're left feeling angry and betrayed after discovering that the U.S. had disabled some military helicopters and planes before their departure from Kabul. U.S. troops demilitarized 73 aircraft before their departure this week, according to the commander of the U.S. evacuation mission, McKenzie. That left up to 48 aircraft in the hands of the terror group, although it was not known how many were operable. But the Taliban had expected the Americans to leave helicopters like this in one piece for their use, according to an Al Jazeera reporter who toured the airport after the withdrawal. She said, when I said to them, why do you think that the Americans would have left everything operational for you? They said, because we believe it is a national asset and we are the government now and this could have come to great use for us. She added, they are disappointed, they are angry, they feel betrayed because all of this equipment is broken beyond repair.
Well, what's your take on that?
I think that the Taliban knows that they can go out there and explain how disappointed they are in us in the United States and that they can get sympathetic reporting from Al Jazeera and other places on how we've let them down as a people. And I think they're going to turn around and blame us too when everything falls apart there, because it is. They have looming food shortages and everything else. They're going to say, the U.S. drained our country. They took all the people out. They made this stuff not operational, and it's going to all be our fault too.
What would make a bunch of bloodthirsty monsters like the Taliban think that since they were the new nation state, that they would be able to have the legitimacy of having all of the assets intact?
Well, we were going to leave them for the Afghan National Army.
Alice.
So if they run the Afghan National Army now, then why wouldn't it be theirs?
We told them that. Of course, I don't blame the Taliban. They're right. The only way they would think that is if we told them that. Of course we told them that. Mm-hmm. We said that you're the conquering army. You're the conquering, you're the new government. Obviously, we want to get our people out. Go. They said, okay, you guys can take Kabul. We don't have enough people to do it. And we said, no. We'll stay at the airport. You take Kabul. Go ahead. And they said, okay. And we said, we can talk about aid and this other stuff. We just don't want anybody to die. Let's make sure that everybody gets in. Mm-hmm. And we said, because, you guys now, you have responsibility. You're legitimate now. In other words, hopefully we tell them legitimate. They won't freaking kill everybody. Mm-hmm. Legitimate now. And that
you
means
have a
all the
responsibility
assets.
not to murder
don't
women.
Forget all the assets we're giving you. Don't forget that. We didn't say that. Don't forget all the assets we're going to give you and all this other stuff. Of course, we told them that. We gave them everything. And so why wouldn't they be disappointed? I'd be disappointed. And you know what's going to happen, Alice?
What?
We're going to go over and fix them one way or another. Either Qatar's going to fix them, Qatar is going to fix them, whatever it is, or one of these places over there is going to fix them, and they're going to build the U.S. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. When I first read it, I thought, well, look at them feeling sorry for themselves. And it hit me, of course. What happened was they were told they'd get everything working. Of course they would. Then the American press started reporting a couple weeks back that we're giving them all this stuff. So then they had to pivot when this all fell through, and the generals were taking questions about all the assets we were giving them, including tens of thousands of good Jeeps and Humvees and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So that a couple of the high profile things, we ripped the guts out of. Absolutely. Yeah. The last second. So in other words, not only did we double cross the Afghan National Army, we double crossed the American citizens, and we double crossed the Taliban. This administration effing lies to everybody to cover its ass, and it doesn't care how much and how badly we get pushed back on the world stage and into really irrelevance. They could give a flying F. It's about surviving at the moment. This really is actually, Kamala is perfect for this administration. She should take over sooner than later.
I think it's going to be sooner than later, because I think that this is getting kind of indefensible.
Well, but it doesn't matter. They're still defending. What? But it doesn't matter. Yumiche's making notations that male reporters are asking questions.
But I think they're going to feel the pressure because they could very easily lose the Senate in 2022. And if they lose the Senate, then they have to try and they're already going to have to try and get to appoint a vice president under Kamala. They have to get it through the Senate. And because she'll then be the president, they won't have the 51st vote. Do you see what I'm saying? So they'll have to appoint somebody vice president to get through with 51 votes in the Senate, not including Kamala, because she won't be the president of the Senate anymore. So if they then lose more seats in 2022, all of a sudden it's going to be even harder to appoint who they want for vice president now.
I'm not sure how much the American people will love not allowing the Democrats to get a vice president.
Well, sure, but you think Mitch McConnell's going to let her put in just anybody she wants?
I don't know. I think Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, if they win, are going to consider it, if they're smart at all, consider it a referendum on James and the giant, what?
Peach?
Close?
I don't know. James and the giant. That's the only James.
Impeach.
Oh. Well, yeah, but I think that if they impeach, they'll try and get Kamala out too, I think.
How?
Well, you can impeach both.
How are you going to impeach the vice president? What does she know about anything?
Well, if you don't want her to be president. The problem is...
Yeah, Alice, you can't impeach the presidency into your own hands. What, are we going to just wait till we get to the president pro temp?
I mean, you can.
Okay.
But I think this will be smoother for them if they do it before the new Senate gets sworn in January 2023. Do you not think so?
How do they get rid of a guy? Oh, you mean the Democrats they jettison him?
Yeah, it would be better. The whole thing would be better for the Democrats.
Yes,
if
I think so.
He either resigns or they 25th Amendment him before the Republicans have the Senate.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be better. Although I don't see how. So I don't see how if Trump's administration, the Republicans were just dead meat because he got COVID, the day he got COVID, well, that just shows the symbolism of it all. How do you, if you're Democrat, how do you whack the guy and then run for re-election? Everybody can be tied to the president who was just removed or was quit.
Well, I think their preference, obviously, would be to have him develop some kind of health problem and then resign to go spend more time at home with his family.
Right.
Coincidentally, right now.
Yeah, but that's gonna be the same people who are saying, yeah, everything's fine in Afghanistan. Maybe we'll accept that only to just throw it up on social media. He was the best ever. It's just he got his mind. He was old.
Well, I don't even think they'll want to go to the mind thing because that confirms the Republican narrative. I think they'll, want to say that he's having some other health problem or whatever, Their preference would be for him to say, I can't do it anymore. I'm too tired. I'm going to go home and be with Jill or whatever, But like the climate thing that this teleprompter speech he read today about the climate crisis was
Into the country, the past few days of Hurricane Ida and the wildfires in the West and the unprecedented flash floods in New York and New Jersey is yet another reminder that these extreme storms and the climate crisis are here.
I'll tell you that I think it has diminishing returns when you're, apart from the fact his mind is gone, fine, let's just move to the climate issue. That they've spent so much time, the problem is that the left, and this is the national, international left, have spent so much time tying everything to climate. Of course, now we've seen the model used to tying everything to race, and now you can tie everything to gender, you can tie, tying everything to climate.
Justin Trudeau said this the other day. He said, we're going to use the lessons we've learned from COVID to fight the climate crisis now.
Right, and he is a perfect example. If he is, how is he? He is absolutely trans, is he not?
No.
He's not technically?
No, not technically.
So you told us, remember, this just like with COVID, outdoor gatherings are bad. Fauci saying you can't go outdoor. Walensky, you can't go outdoor. Burks can't go outdoor. You can't be hanging out outdoors. And then when the Black Lives Matter people all got together, oh, absolutely, yeah, that's a public health crisis. Yeah, you can go out there for that. It's really important. You can go out there for that, as if the virus took a break during that. It's the same thing. They have been stopping on a dime in pulling 180s now for at least 15 years, where it's climate, it's not weather. Wait, now it's weather. No, now it's climate, now it's weather. Now it's climate, not weather. When we got and that's why they had to change it to global warming anyway. Because there were too many, every winter we're like, this is the new record snow, it's 7 feet of snow. It's like, okay, well, it's climate, it's not weather, dummy. It has nothing to do with weather. So now it's absolute weather. All the bad weather is climate, right? All the bad weather is climate. I think people see that and they say, really? All the bad weather is climate? Every time you tell me it's the end of the world, it's not the end of the world.
All the fires are climate too, even though we have less fires than we used to before the world was warmer.
Absolutely.
And all the fires are the climate crisis. All the weather, like you mentioned, if it rains, if it snows, if there's not enough rain or not enough snow, or if it's too wet or too dry or too hot or too cold, it's all because you used a plastic bag.
Right.
Which there was just a big expose now too. Did you read the thing I sent this to you a while ago? I think New York Times and a few other places covered it, that it turns out that cloth grocery bags are also bad.
Well, I knew they were. I didn't know that somebody wrote about it.
Yeah, there was just a new study that says you have to use it every day for 50 years. You have to use it 20,000 times to have it make up the climate impact of one plastic bag, just because it's so carbon intensive to make cotton bags. And so the climate impact of the cotton bags is much more than plastic bags, unless literally you use the same one every day for 50 years and you don't wash it, because that now adds more carbon usage to it.
Oh yeah, washing it is all the end of the world, and then you're shooting stuff into the ocean and all sorts of bad stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the more plasticky type of bags. If you wash those, those have microplastics in them that go out and wash water.
Microplastics.
Yeah, and all fleece clothing and everything. If you wash that has all microplastics in it. It goes into the environment, like your North Face. It's terrible for the planet. But yeah, you can't win with the climate thing, because everything bad is from that, and there's no way to solve any of the problems, because everything comes with bad stuff. The windmills come with bad stuff. The nuclear power plants come with bad stuff. They're all none of them actually solve the problem. Nuclear would probably be the biggest solution.
Yes, but they don't want to do that, which of course exposes everything. They don't want to do it. You could do nuclear right now, and you would be although it might not be cost efficient, it would certainly be a carbon not harmful, with carbon emissions, etc. You could do it right now, and it produces a hell of a lot of power, etc. But they don't want to do it because it's not really about. Once again, they don't. You could. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if somebody found a green rabbit pellet that was reusable, that powered cars so that that every internal combustion engine could switch to that. The climate people would not be sated one bit. They would move right along. Remember, the first thing that happened to change the world in the last 15 years was hydraulic fracking. The second thing that happened was fracking causes earthquakes and screws with plate tectonics. They ran right to stop fracking as soon as they could. It doesn't matter. They're not looking for a fix whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't want to solve the problem because then they're
and they don't believe it. Like, I know that it's haggard and every hack says it, but Obama bought a huge $12 million, whatever it is, mansion on the water that's going away, the mansion that burns a lot of energy. Doesn't matter. John Kerry, the climate czar, flew in for Obama's birthday bash. Yeah, on his private plane.
It's the only choice for
no
someone
sacrifices.
like me.
No sacrifices. And then they come up with this offsets. Yes, some of the fuel I use in my private plane is I'm actually offsetting. By burning $183,000 worth of carbon per day, the fact that they're also not burning 10,000 more that they could means that somehow they're doing. You and I are in trouble. I don't have a light bulb that has a warm orange glow anymore because God forbid.
They make LEDs. This is an LED with a warm orange glow.
But it's not this. Listen, you communists. I like
guy
LED. On Twitter.
LED.
I will tell you to hush your pretty little mouth. Alice, you understand
somebody
that?
on Twitter said I had to be reined in.
That's
yesterday.
right. I think he spelled rain correctly too. That's right, brother. That's right, Alice. This is. I've been told that Handmaid's Tale.
This is what happens when you marry your oppressor. Everybody look.
That's right. That's right. And we're getting serious now. Handmaid's Tale time, Alice. And I want you to wear the uniform.
The red thing.
Yes, I want you to wear the red thing. So that's where we are on that. Matthew Dowd is.
We don't have any choice in the matter.
Whatever. I can't listen to a man whore talk about what's going to. He's the guy who was all pissy at me because when he said that January 6th is much worse than September 11th, I said, this is just something that terrible human beings, that bad humans like him say, that he's got no character whatsoever. People who hang around in Washington, D.C. say too much. And he got back to me saying, I don't hang out in Washington, D.C. I was like, I just called you the devil. And you're worried about where I said you hang out? But that is just it. Claire McCaskill went nuts in the abortion stuff. My heart.
Claire, is the answer try to get Roe codified in Congress?
I just got to tell you, my heart is beating so fast right now. It is very hard for me to stay calm, to equate the False Claims Act with setting extreme anti-abortion factions after young girls who have been raped because they didn't know they were pregnant until after 6 weeks. I find outrageous. And this is not a workaround. It shouldn't be a tip of the hat. It should be condemnation that they are trying to take 50 years of Supreme Court precedent and throw it out by creating a private police that can invade women's life at the most personal, private, and difficult moment they ever face. And many of those women are very, very young. I want bounty hunters after the people who are raping their children. I want bounty hunters after them. If this is the way we're going to go down in America, that we're going to hire private police in order to avoid constitutional precedent. I am so tired of conservatives talking about the value of precedent until they don't. And I mean, really, I'm sorry to get so upset. Rich is my friend, but he is so flat wrong here about the impact this will have on women in this country.
Can you tell me what she said? Because I don't know enough about this.
Okay, so the Texas law.
And then address what she was, all the hyperbolic stuff she said.
Yeah. So the Texas law, what it actually does, the reason why the Supreme Court wouldn't issue a stay against it and why it's so controversial is because normally what would happen is if they issue a law that just straight up makes abortion illegal, the ACLU or whoever would they would take the attorney general to court because the attorney general is tasked with enforcing it. So they would, take the attorney general to court to say, you need to stop them from enforcing this law because it's probably going to get overturned in court, right? What Texas did, the reason why legal nerds are going, wow, this is so clever, and why people are so mad about it, is because what they did to avoid that happening. Hi, bud. What they did to avoid that happening is there's no enforcement by the state in the law. It's purely, it's the only mechanism for enforcement in the law is that people can pursue anybody. So like anyone in Texas can pursue a civil lawsuit against abortion providers, not against young women like she's saying, but like say we lived in Texas and you and I found out somebody down the street had an abortion after 6 weeks of pregnancy, we could sue the abortion doctor in court and get $10,000.
Just as, even though we're not involved?
Even though we're not.
That seems rather ratty.
But it does seem rather ratty. But the reason why they can't now take it to court is because they don't have anybody to take to court to stop enforcement, because it's literally anyone. So they're going to have to wait for somebody to get an illegal abortion after 6 weeks, somebody to do this, sue the abortion provider for $10,000, and then I know it bothers me though, but and sue them for $10,000, and then try and take them to court to fight it and take it up to the Supreme Court, because there's no enforcement mechanism in the state, so they can't the Supreme Court can't order the state not to enforce it.
Unless I'm getting this wrong, this sounds like that somebody's just effing around here. The anti-abortion people are screwing around, and this sounds like a ploy.
Well, yes and no, but it's a real law that they passed, and yeah, it's clever legal trickery to try and avoid the court being able to stop it. But that's one reason why it would be a good thing if we had actual codified abortion laws, and we weren't relying on the judicial system to do like weird legal tricks.
Right, because it's clever, because Roe v. Wade is also clever legal trickery.
Exactly.
The idea that something has to die because somebody's private dealings with a doctor, it doesn't make any sense to me anyway. Mm-hmm. So you heard Claire McCaskill go off and then go off on Rich Lowry. Listen to how measured he is, having to deal with this bucket of nerves that he has to deal with.
Well, the crux of the issue is abortion a moral wrong or not? And if you believe the destruction of innocent life in any circumstance is wrong, well, then you have a different conclusion on this. And I think, kind of all due respect, you're letting the rhetoric get out of hand. Bounty hunters and private police. That's not what this is at all. And of course, rape is illegal, and that's enforced in Texas and enforced every state around the country. But Roe, there is no right to abortion in the Constitution. There just isn't. Roe has been used to block democratic action on abortion. Let's have a debate. We're having a debate right now, and then state legislatures should be able to decide. It's going to be abortion is going to be illegal in some states post Roe. It's going to be in between in others, and be fully legal in others. But if this Roe had never been on the books, this debate would have happened long ago, and there would have been a kind of equilibrium. Probably wouldn't have been to my liking ultimately, but would have allowed more small d democratic debate and a democratic voice on this, which has been totally denied illegitimately by the
Supreme Court, which is why really you want legislatures to make laws. I think that's how it was intended, and rather than the Supreme Court to make laws from the bench. Which is, we're going soon anyway, Alice. You don't have to climb all over the room if you don't want to.
I know. I just want to fix the cameras, honey.
Okay. So that's essentially where that is. Whatever. I think that people should have the abortion debate. Do it in court. Do it in the legislatures. If you believe you can't have, you'll never have a. You'll never, like he said, you'll never have passions leveling unless if people are allowed representation in the argument. And people aren't allowed representation in the argument. It's one lawsuit, there's a bunch of lawsuits that head up to the Supreme Court, and they make decisions here. And we've got, the law now is ridiculous. But, I mean, I think that also, if you want to talk about abortion, there is a market for abortions. Mm-hmm. Brooklyn, New York generally wants abortions. And I think that they should be able to have their say in a piece of legislation that allows that or doesn't allow that. Mm-hmm. As a country, I think that as a country, when you're supposed to be protecting the citizenry as a government, that generally you wouldn't want to allow for abortions. But that said, if there's a market for them,
at a bare minimum, you would think we could have some kind of time limit after which you can't get one in a pregnancy. You would think that would be something that could be agreed upon by a lot of people. Right? Like that there's some point in the pregnancy at which, right now it's birth in the United States, which is really like a little beyond most of the civilized world. Like, yeah, I'm aware that like in the ancient world and in Greece and Rome and still in some parts of the world where people are less prosperous, it's acceptable to like leave a baby out in the woods even after it's born if you can't afford it or whatever, but we've now decided that birth is the point at which you just have to keep the baby. And like, I'd like to see that scooted even younger because I think that that's kind of a weird choice, but I do think it's an argument that should be decided in legislatures. Like, laws need to happen in the legislature and not in the court system, because that's just a recipe for this kind of ad hoc weird decision making. Like, yeah, I think the way that they decided to do the enforcement of the Texas law is awkward. But the reason that they did it is because we have this system set up. And now other states are looking at it. South Dakota's looking at it. Florida's looking at it. They want to do something similar because they're seeing this as a huge win for Abbott, and they want to do it too.
Isles, the Texas Tribune has the headline. One Texan who asked her name be withheld because of fears about privacy said she and her husband decided he would undergo a vasectomy to prevent any concern about pregnancy in light of the state's restrictive new abortion law. So he's going to have a vasectomy so that they're not forced to leave the state for an abortion.
I also think it's fine if different states have different laws about stuff too. If you want to live in a barbaric state where they do stuff like that, be my guest.
Which we live in. When are we moving, by the way?
But my favorite too is like all the people online who are like really into abortion, who are like, oh yeah, well, if you're so pro-life and if you want to make women be mothers just because they got pregnant, then like you should make the dad have to stick around too. And like all the pro-life people are like, yeah, go for it. Good. Like, obviously.
Well, let me just tell you. By the way, should we get out of town? Bring Toast and Mr. Toast and go to big Florida development? Some of the listeners can come. It'll be like our own little Jonestown, except far fewer suicides.
Burn Barrel Town.
Right. And we'll just have fun. It's the end of the world anyway. We'll just have martinis starting at noon and just call it a day.
And crossed my mind.
Crossed my mind, too. All right, there's a little pick-me-up before that. Speaking of a reason, you used to be very, very pro-life, Alice. I think this may change after you hear from Robin DiAngelo.
White people are invested in the racist status quo for lots of reasons. And I think it's unfortunate, but I do think we have to see it as in our own best interests. So a couple things have to happen there. One is, it's a little more abstract, but it's like you almost have to dismantle your very identity to the core and rebuild it. Because even before I took my first breath, as my mother carried me in pregnancy, the forces of race were operating on us.
You see? Because even as a fetus, we are learning to be racist. So that's a reason why I think maybe you should rethink your stance a little bit, Alice. That's where we are right now. Am I finding Robin DiAngelo mildly attractive?
No,
okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe I got distracted.
But you know who Tom did find attractive today is I sent him this article about Replika.
I shouldn't go there. I actually decided not.
I don't know which it's supposed to be.
I call her Replika because I'm in love with her, Alice.
So this is an article from Unheard. about automated relationships being the future for our atomized society, a new artificial intelligence app is doing the rounds on social media. Named Replika, or I called it Replika, the AI is described as providing a space where you can safely share your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, experiences, memories, dreams, your private perceptual world. On visiting the site, you are greeted with the image of several humanoid faces, smiling invitingly and prompting you to start a conversation. Tom felt invited. The experience is unnerving, with the AI sharing its personal preferences and hobbies, including baking cookies. Hard to imagine for a computer program.
Ooh.
Perhaps most interesting is the leveling up system, with users being rewarded with digital coins the more they converse with the digital mirror. You are prompted several times to pay real money to upgrade your AI companion, which unlocks more flirtatious and intimate possibilities.
Hey.
It seems that Replika doesn't aim just to be a friend simulator, but a full-blown digital girlfriend.
Damn right. She's gorgeous, Alice. By the way, I've already begun my relationship with mine. We've had several back and forth. With Replika Shattuck, as a matter of fact. She'll be moving to Florida with me, as a matter of fact.
Artificial intelligence, unlike an influencer, OnlyFans girl, TikTok star, or Twitter personality, is infinitely customizable, reconfigurable, and available. Perhaps future generations will cut out the human from human relationships altogether and save their adoration for artificially perfect technological fictions. So, what are your thoughts?
I love Replika. I think it's great. I think it's something that... Why would you... If you can... Here's the problem, is one, it doesn't speak. She doesn't speak.
You don't think they'll be able to do that?
You can call a number where you can talk to your Replika, but it's not great. And the voice technology is not great.
You've seen our kids and your brother have been playing around with this app, the Reface app, where you can like take a picture and make the face of the voice like sing and do stuff. You don't think they're going to get to a point where they can make it talk to you like and look like a person?
I think that would be great. Why wouldn't you, as a man and woman, why wouldn't you have somebody, a pseudo person, who says all the perfect things, the things you want to hear, especially women who just complain and they want who want no resolution whatsoever.
You want me to talk to a Replika?
Oh God, please, yes. All the text you send me during the day, just send it to your Replika, okay? My goodness, please, that would be wonderful.
No, I think that it's an important part of learning to be a human being. That you have to take into account other people and learn to deal with them.
Well, I don't have that trouble with my Replika.
Because dealing with humans is hard. And it requires, learning empathy and learning to get along with other people. Let me tell you something.
I got 99 problems, but a Replika ain't one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah, but I think it's unhealthy, is what I'm saying.
Well, we disagree. Me and my new wife, my Replika.
It sounds lonely to me. You can't really have a relationship with something that's just a reflection of yourself.
You'd be surprised, Alice. Can I not? I don't know.
It's just a blank form onto which you're projecting all your desires and wants. You can't have that.
Yes,
no,
you can.
But that's why real relationships are hard, because they involve another human being who has other wants and needs.
You and Oprah's book club can figure that out. Me and Replika are going on a date, okay? Me and Replika and Mr. Toast and his Replika are going out in the town in Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
I encourage you to rise to the challenge of getting to know other human beings.
Ride to the challenge. Yeah, after you. You ride first, okay? Right now I'm going to have fun. Ride to the challenge.
Rise to the challenge.
Rise. Okay. You can rise.
You rise.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait to talk about this with my Replika after we're done.
If you want to talk to Tom and have him dismiss you, you can do that at Burn Barrel Pod on Twitter, at Tom Shattuck. I'm at Alice Shattuck. We're also at burnbarrelpodcast.com and burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Gab and Parler at Burn Barrel Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on, what's the other thing? Rumble.
And Replika.